pay me or I'm wiping your face off. Hey beautiful, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hi, my name is Alexisjayda and welcome. Today's notification shout out goes to Catherine. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Te quiero mucho. Thank you so much. If you want to be part of the notification squad, all you have to do is just like this video, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment down below, and you can possibly be my next notification shout out. So today's story time is going to be a different story time that is not part of my nanny series. So I did promise you guys that I will be sharing more of my other story times because you guys want like a good mixture of todo. So that's what we'll be doing today, and it is a makeup client video. Now, when I do these videos, it's like so hard to like not get upset at myself because a lot of the times I did just put up with the love. You know, I don't know. I feel like as I'm getting older, my patience is getting very thin, and not necessarily thin. I just cut the boot a lot quicker where I'm like, you know, and then you guys are so amazing, and you just listening to my story times, and it's not just that. It's not like if you guys are just like listening, okay, that's it, goodbye. No, we are talking and you guys are helping me, and it seriously is doing so much, and it's opening my eyes to a lot of things, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for being there for me, allowing me to vent, allowing me to share my story. I seriously appreciate it so much. Thank you, thank you. So it is currently 4:06 in the morning. Thinking about so many things. So I hope everyone has an amazing day. Good morning. I love you, and thank you so much for clicking on my video. All right, now let's get into the story time. Again, it's going to be about a makeup client, and I'm going to be applying makeup. Everything I will be using will be listed down below, so make sure to check that out as well. Oh, and my merch as well. I know there is some fam out that didn't know that I do have merch, and you guys are constantly giving me ideas, so thank you guys so much for that. If you guys are curious about that, it is linked in the bio as well. And thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. I think I'm gonna start showing you guys like pictures at the end of my video. I think that will be a good idea. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions for anything. Please let me know. I really do appreciate it very much. Okay, now shut up, Alexis, and let's get into it. So my friend, we will name her Janet. So my friend Janet, she ringed me. Ring ring. Hello. Hey girl, I need some help. I had my friend cancel and I need someone to help me with these girls. And I said, okay, when's the date? She said it's going to be this date, and I was like, all right, let me see what I can do. Because when you do makeup on multiples, you gotta make sure that you have a good block of time. And if y'all don't know, I have 6 babies. Well, at the time I only had 5. So, but still, it's a lot of kids, right? So I have to make sure that I can pick up that good chunk of time. So I was like, all right, okay, let me call you back. And then I called her back and I was like, oh, hey, Janet, yeah, I could do that for you. Now, me and Janet, we're very close, very cool. I always want to say like my home skillet biscuit. Pero if y'all follow the nanny series, you're like, you know what I mean? So she's a really good friend of mine, right? And she's more on the side that's, she can get hood when she needs to, but she's very, like, I wash my mouth around her, and I don't get too like sassy with my mouth because it's out of respect. So anyways, I get my kit ready. She tells me like, hey, it's gonna be at this date. This is this, and I tell her to send me a picture of the girls that I'm gonna be working on, because that's not just one girl. I'm gonna be doing 3 girls, okay? And I'm nervous, even though I feel like I'm very confident in my work, especially when I work on other people. I feel like it comes out better. I don't know why. Like when I do my niece's makeup, I feel like I do really good on her. I'll link her video up here of me doing her makeup, but I feel like I do really, really good on other people, and that's not me being cocky or nothing like that, so don't even look at me like that, okay? But no, like for real, I feel like I just feel like I do better. I'm getting ready my kit. I tell her, hey Janet, can you send me the pictures of the girls? I want to make sure that I pack what I'm going to need and what I don't need. I don't want to put things that I'm not going to need. Before, I used to pack things and overpack, and then me taking it out of my kit, getting everything situated, and I would just like really like fluster myself. And as you do makeup and as you like get in it a little bit more, you're kind of like, okay, I need this, don't need that. I'm not gonna use this, but you know, so as you do makeup and stuff, and just like anything, you get used to it and you're like, okay, I'm gonna need this. I didn't use this last time, didn't use this the other times, maybe I should take this out of my kit. So I tell her to send me the picture of the 3 girls that I'm going to be doing. Okay, great. She sends me the 3 pictures of the girls and I'm like, oh, okay, awesome. So I ask her if there's like anything that I'm going to need to bring. What are we doing? Are we gonna do like very creative? Are we gonna do everyday makeup? Are we gonna do glam? And she says that she's not really sure because her friend that had to, you know, do something else that she couldn't, you know, do. She knew all that, and that just to be safe, just to bring everything. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I packed my kit. Now, I was really nervous and excited, okay? I'm telling you, I could not sleep because I was just sanitizing everything and making sure everything was really nice and clean. So whenever my brush hit their face, it was just roses, okay? So I made sure that everything was going to be nice, clean, and tidy. Nervous. My husband kept telling me like, babe, it's going to be fine. And that, you know, pretty much what I always say, it's just makeup. If they don't like it, they can take it off and you can do it again. It's fine. Don't ever think it. Okay, I won't. I text Janet in the morning, like, hey girl, where am I gonna meet you? Or do I meet you at your house? She's like, just come to my house and we can ride together. First mistake. Always take your own car with anything, family events, anything. So when you got a dip, you can just go. If anything goes missing, it goes missing in your car. Anything, take your own fucking car, okay? It's just less stressful, y'all. Like, for real, just take your own car. Even if you're like, oh no, like, just take your own car. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, you want some Starbucks? Like, I'll go get some Starbucks for us. Yeah, you know, bring Starbucks like that. Yeah, this is my order. So I pick up her order and I'm like, okay, cool, I got you. So I pull up to her house. I get my case out and she's like, dang girl, you're clean prepared. I was like, yeah. And I was like, what are you bringing? So we're kind of just looking at each other's stuff and I'm like, yeah, like I brought this. She's telling me like, okay, good, look, good. I like that. Picasso. So I was like, oh yeah, think so? Yeah. So she tries to give me a little speech beforehand and she's like, look, now I know you've worked with girls before who are a little bit more difficult. And y'all, I have had my fair share of difficult. With any type of job you might have, I feel like some people can be very entitled and they really take it up a notch. And they really think that like you work for them okay, yeah, we work for the client, but you know what I mean? It's just weird. Like they feel like you need to really break your back for them and no, you're going to do this, and it's just weird. So I'm letting her talk and I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean. She's like, hey, and she's pretty much letting me know these clients are very important to her, and it's not like if I get out of pocket or anything like that. It's not her telling me like behave, but in the same way she's telling me like, you know, if something's not right, like just let me know. If they wanna, you know, talk to you like this and they tend to do this, and I know you don't like that. If y'all know, in my nanny series, a lot of the women that treat me like trash, they had this habit of, and I really hated it. I'm not a dog. So I was like, yeah, you know. So she's like trying to like, you know, make sure that she's telling me like, hey, they might do this. I don't mind it, you know, because like it pays the bills, and like to be honest, Lex, like it's no biggie to me. So if anything, just let me know and I can handle the situation. I'm like, girl, okay, yeah. Like I'm over here thinking I'm gonna be working with some demons because I'm like, oh, damn, like it's really that bad where I feel like she was giving me a long speech. Now, in the same breath too, I just feel like Janet is very an overthinker. I'm an overthinker too, but I feel like Janet was just a very overthinker. We've done a lot of makeup jobs together, but I feel like she really tended to overthink a lot of things, and sometimes be like that. How would that happen? And she'd be like, you just never know. Just never know, man. And I'm like, all right, but I don't. So anyways, she's telling me, we're sipping on our coffee. We're not even finished with them. She's like, all right, let's hit the road. I'm like, all right, let's go. So it's early in the morning and we are going to this big venue and it just looks gorgeous. And every time I see big events like this, I always think like, oh my gosh, one day. So I'm already like in a good mood because it just puts you in a really like cool mood. Like, oh my God, this is so cool, you know? So I tell Janet and stuff, I'm like, dude, thank you for calling me to come here and do this. Like, this is so freaking awesome. She's like, yeah, like no problem. Like, I really love your work. Like, heck yeah, girl. Like, it's gonna be big and hopefully like you can, you know, make a few clients. I'm like, yeah, you know? And so as we're still like talking and we're about to like take everything out of the car and stuff, I asked her, I'm like, oh, hey, like, how are we gonna do the form of payment? Do I just collect it from them or do I get it from you? And she tells me that, oh, no, it's all taken care of. I'll make sure you get your cut. And that the lady who 3 girls are under, she got it taken care of. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Like, I'm not even worried about it. I'm not even worried about it, y'all. I'm not even worried about it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we go inside and everyone just seems pretty like in a chill vibe. We're in a really nice room where it's pretty lit up, like really nice, very lit up. I'm like, damn, they really going all out. As we go in, of course, I know Janet. Hey, Janet, you know, all excited, really happy to see her. I noticed that these 3 girls are already sitting in chairs and have their hair up, and it just looks like they're ready to go. And my gut was already going off. It was already like, ooh, it was already going off, and I was like, yeah, those are the 3 that I'm probably going to be doing. Those are the 3. Because I feel like sometimes I just got some luck, and maybe I be jinxing it too, where it's like they just looked in a mood. Okay, so we have our drinks, we have our case, right? So these 3 girls are greeting Janet, even grab her suitcase from her, sit it down. Oh my God, like I'm so excited, you know, and about the day. Those 3 girls, I just keep looking at them, we keep making eye contact and holding my drink, and I'm just like looking at them, they're looking at me, I'm looking at you, and it is just very awkward. And so I just make my way over there, and I kind of, you know, talk to Janet at the same time. I'm like, am I over there? She's like, yeah. I said, she's just talking to the girl, she's in her moment, and I'm happy for her, because I'm like, oh, like, you know, it's good. It's always good, and it should bring joy to you when your friends look happy, and she looked really happy. So I was like, hell yeah, girl, keep smiling. So I make my way over there, and these 3 girls, I'll call them the Powerpuff Girls, okay? We will call them the Powerpuff Girls. They aren't even very like welcoming, okay? And I'm not saying like kiss my ass, like my asshole, none of that. It's just, it's very nice, and it should be very polite to be like, oh, hey, are you the one who's gonna be doing our makeup? That sort of thing, right? I walk up and I have my bag and I'm like, oh, hey. And they're like this. Don't say hey back. So I'm like, ooh, tough crowd. Like I'm already feeling it in mi panza. Okay, I'm like, oh my God. So I take a drink of my Starbucks because I'm like, so one of the girls who just screamed Virginia George attitude, you know, Blossom. She sees me take my drink and she says, oh, that wasn't for me? Like that. And I laugh and I'm like, oh no, sorry. Like we got them on our way, it's really early. And she's like, it's early for me too. And in my head, I'm like, I don't give a f, I don't care. Did I ask? No, I didn't. Cause her attitude, I could already feel it. And I was like, ew, okay. And so I just kind of smiled and she goes, like that. Okay, so Little Miss Thing wanted to have her little attitude. I'm like, okay. So I see that there's like a spot I could put my case. And she asks me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put my case right here. Like there's some room. And the other girls are like, stop. Or should we really name her? We'll name her P for puta. Okay? So they're like, P, knock it off. And she's like, what? I'm not even doing anything. I'm literally not doing anything. And like, you know what you're doing. I tell P, like, are we gonna have a problem? Like, is it just not a good day? So I'm kind of letting her know, like, okay, I didn't say anything in the first couple, but like at the same time, like, we're grown. Let's not act like this, because I want it to be a good experience for you, and I want it to be a good experience for moi. So they try and calm her down, and everyone, I know about everyone, because I know someone's gonna be like, not me. Well, there's always that one feisty one. There's always like the nice one, and then there's always that one that's like, they could be nice, and at the same time, like, don't test their gangsta. So it's kind of like Powerpuff Girl, right? So we got P, who's like the main girl who is just vibrating puta vibes. And then we have Bubbles, which is a pretty nice one, which is like, come on, P, you know? And then we have Buttercup, which she's pretty all right. Like, I vibe with her really good. So she told me, like, there's not going to be a problem, that she's just irritated that they even have to pay for someone to do their makeup when they do makeup pretty good on their own. And Bubbles wants to chime in and say, now P, you know why we have to, like, come on. Get into yapping, and I see Janet walking over, and so I get kind of like relieved, because I'm like, okay, good, so I can just clear it up with her of whatever I have to, right? She comes over and she's like, everything good. Now Janet just radiates like really like mom vibes, you know? Like I said, like, I don't even really like cuss around her, because she just radiates like mom. So she asks P, like, hey, is everything okay? Is there going to be any problems? Like, is it okay if Alexis does your makeup? She's helped me quite a few times. She does really, really good work. If you don't want her to do your makeup, that's fine. Just like, let me know, so I can just tell her just to focus on Buttercup and Bubbles. Just you just let me know, because this isn't our first time, you know, having this sort of, so like, just let me know, P. And I'm laughing, because it kind of just sounded like she was just pretty much telling her, like, either you're gonna act right or not, just let me know, because I don't got time for it today. You can tell that my friend was stressing. And P kind of just looks at her, gives her an ugly look, and says, okay. Like, just like that, like, okay. I get kind of like, you know, like, is that an okay? And a sure isn't a good enough answer for me. Especially when someone's asking you a question, because that like really pisses me off. Especially if we're the same age. It's either a yes or a no, not a sure. Not a or a maybe. Like, it's, what is it? Act your age and tell me what is it? I tell her, I'm like, so is that a yes or is that a no? Like, I need a solid yes or no. My friend looks at me and kind of puts her hand where she can touch mine. P looks at that, and it's probably like, she's like, you know, it's just one of those things, like, you see it, you're like, oh, okay. Like, maybe I should just like calm it a little bit, which I hope that's how she took it, because I was not in the mood. She says, yeah, yes, can we just like get started? Like, it's taking forever. You're over here just drinking your Starbucks, which you didn't even offer us one, right? Because like we're all up at the same time. And I'm like just looking at her, and I'm like, okay, like, she's, my friend just walks off, like, she doesn't want to hear it. She's like, okay, walks off, and she has her little drink in her hands. She's all walking off, just stirring it, and I'm laughing, because I'm like, like, I know what you're doing. All right, okay, let's get started. I start opening my kit and just start to put things like where they go. Some can just work right out of their kit, have no problem. I like to have my stuff laid out so that if I need something, it's just gonna be an easy, quick grab, boom, and done, instead of having to maybe search for it. What if something falls? Yada yada. As I'm doing that, I'm not even looking behind me, but there's a big mirror in front of me, and I ask, okay, so who would like to go first? And I'm kind of grabbing everything, and I'm looking up, and I can see P's like going like that, like, I'm crazy for asking that question, right? Like, the nerve of me to ask that question. That's what she was giving me. So I kind of smirk as I'm still getting everything, and I'm kind of laughing, like, oh, I'm gonna ask, because I always hate how there's that one person in the group that thinks everyone has to follow, and I know it's none of my business. It's hard to kind of just stay quiet sometimes, or allow things, or not to have like an opinion, because it's really hard, especially how she was just spitting venom at me for no reason. Annoyed with her too. Like, okay. You wanna be a bully, bitch? I could be a bully. So as I'm smirking, I look up and I'm like, so is it gonna be you? I'm here, aren't I? Yeah, and so are they. So Bubble starts to giggle and so does Buttercup, because I was just matching her energy. So she kind of just looks at me, she's like, I'll go first. I'm like, okay, great. So what kind of look would you want me to do for you today? Is there anything that you have in mind? And she's like, we'll name her Jessica. It's me, Jessica. So she tells me, didn't Jessica tell you what we wanted? And I'm like, oh no, sorry, we didn't have enough time, you know, due to her family emergency. I hadn't had a lot of time, but if you could just tell me really quickly, I can get going. And she's like, oh, which it's not that big of a deal to tell me. Like, oh yeah, like this is what I want, no problem. Like, I'm like, you can just tell me real quick, and like we don't have to, I won't ask you any more questions unless it's something that I have to. And she's like, just something simple, not too much, just something simple. And when she says that, I'm kind of laughing because like I don't have anything on my face. And for her to, you know, do all that and be like, something simple. Like if my face had makeup, so compliment, okay. So I was like, okay, great. So do you have combination skin? Do you have oily skin? Because these are normal questions that you ask. And she goes, oh, so like, are you even a makeup artist? And I kind of just look at her and I'm like, yeah, but these are just questions. Like, did Jessica not ask you these questions? Like, and she's like, yeah, she asked me. I just, like that. And I'm like, oh my God, I am dealing with a child. And Bubbles chimes in yet again and says, just freaking tell her by the time that she's supposed to be done with you, she should have started on, you know, and she's like telling her like to quit. And I kind of just look at her and I kind of just smile like, okay. And then she tells me that she has combination skin. And I'm like, okay, great. She's like, that's great to have combination skin. That's great. And I'm like, and so I just get to working on her because I'm like, dude, like, you have to be kidding me. Like, you have to be kidding me. And then I'm already, my anxiety is starting to kick in where I'm like starting to regret it. I'm starting to regret it. And I'm like, no wonder why Jessica canceled. I don't even think it was an emergency. So I'm like thinking in my head, and it wasn't a family emergency. She just, something had came up. So don't be like, Alexis, how could you say that? As I'm doing her skin prep. So I work skin prep, eyebrows, and then I do eyes, and then I do foundation. Everyone is different. Doesn't mean there's a wrong way. Everybody is different. And I like to do eyes first, just in case there's any fallout or anything like that. It's an easy, clean fix for me. And I can just go in, clean it, instead of having to like remove your foundation if I needed to, all of that. So she's kind of annoyed already with me doing that. What are you doing? And I kind of chuckle because it's so hard not to laugh in their faces when they act like this. And when I say they, I mean Karens, because it's just, it's so annoying. Like, it's so annoying where they think like they're intimidating you by their chuckle. I don't know why. I don't know why they think it's like a form of intimidation. It's just a form of like pissing me the off like so quick. For what? You're being annoying. I'm not your child. And so I kind of kindly explained to her, so how I like doing the makeup, I like starting with this first, and then I'm just, you know, and I'm telling her, and she's like, okay, well, can you just do it how Jessica normally does it? So I guess Jessica has already worked on her face once. And I guess the way Jessica did it was foundation, eyebrows, and then eyeshadow. And so I kindly explained to her like, oh, okay, well, you know, we just have different techniques. It doesn't mean her way is wrong or my way is wrong, or, you know, vice versa. This is how I like to, okay, just, I don't know why I asked. Okay, continue. And I'm like, when she waits me to continue, I'm like, okay. just continue to work on her. No biggie. And I am not smiling creepy. This is how I'm doing it. Because she's like dead like this. And so it's kind of hard not to like. Every time I stopped blending, she would open her eyes. Even when I was blending, she would open her eyes and check the mirror. Smile, right? Because it's just weird because she's like, why are you smiling? It's making me uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just nervous. I won't smile. And she's like, well, now it's just awkward. I'm like, okay. Bubbles chimes in and she's like, P, like for real, quit. Like you're making it very hard. If you don't stop, I'm going to go tell. She was gonna go tell. We'll name the person Box. I'm gonna go tell Box. You're making it very difficult for her and it's just very uncomfortable, like quit. And P's like, what? Oh my God. This is why I don't come out, because you guys are always complaining about me. And this is just who I am. Like, I don't know why you guys have a problem. Like, your guys' weirdness. I don't ever have a problem. I don't ever tell you guys anything. So Buttercup is like, we don't have weirdness. There's just some things that we don't want to do. It's not the same. So they kind of start bickering and I'm just like trying to finish and I'm going in. I'm just, you know, doing that. And as she's like arguing, I'm not like getting her mouth, which I wanted to so bad. I wanted to just go like that so she could just shut the fuck up. But I'm not. I'm just going around, you know. She's like, can you stop? Like, obviously we're having a conversation and you doing that is very distracting. And I'm like, well, I am doing your makeup and we are on a time crunch. So we already spent like a lot of time doing the other stuff. So I, you know, I can wait. I can like wait 5 minutes. She's like, thank you. It was so hard. It was so hard. So hard and so annoying. It wasn't even the good hard. So as I give her her moment and they are literally going back and forth and the girls were being nice. They were defending me, right? So as they're going back and forth, I am just pretty much just playing with my thumbs. And so I grab a drink of my Starbucks and she has the nerve to say, so are you just gonna just drink your Starbucks the whole time? Like that's what you're here for? Or are you here to do my makeup? Buttercup wants to say, can you quit? Like for real, like quit. Like she's telling her like, quit. Damn. I kind of like, hee hee ha, I'm out. Now I told you I was gonna give you 5 minutes. So if you're done, I would like to continue. And she's like, yeah, continue. And so I continue. Cause I'm like, oh geez. I really hate when people want to act like it's you, like you're the problem, like hurry up. So I'm finishing up and the whole time, even doing the eyeshadow application, she wanted to have a mirror. Okay, stop. She wanted to have a mirror just so she can look at every little thing I was doing, which is very, very annoying. Okay, if you're gonna go get your makeup done, please be very patient. And I get it, there's some things where it's like, okay, you just want to like make sure, but please just let the artist that you trusted to do your makeup take their time and wait until the final look. And I know there's always gonna be that one that's like, oh no, like it was bad, I should have checked. But most of the time, I feel like when you book with someone, you kind of know what they expected. So I was just very annoyed at that, but at the same time I couldn't blame her because I'm like, she doesn't know any of my work. So I try to be very patient, but I feel like every single thing I was doing, she was like, it was really hard. So I was trying to be as nice as I possibly could because I was trying to be very understanding. It's a compliment as well because I've gotten this compliment a few times where they feel like I'm not even like putting eyeshadow on. They're like, oh, you're so very, like, you're very light-handed. Thank you. Like I doesn't even feel like you're doing anything. Such a huge, nice compliment because I feel like with me, I'm a little rough, but I'm a little rough with myself. But it was such a nice compliment. I was like, oh, thank you. So she was looking at the mirror because she's like, it doesn't feel like you're even doing anything. And she go, oh, okay. it was just, it was a lot. It was a lot. I can see why Jessica, again, only did her makeup once because it was a pain. So I'm finishing up and I'm asking her like what kind of lip does she like? Does she want something bold? Since the look is kind of more of a, you know, a natural look, does she want to go with something bold or does she want to go with the nude? And again, she made it a freaking issue and asks me, isn't this your job? Aren't you the one who are supposed to put colors together and kind of make something on your palette? And so I tell her, I'm like, okay, all right. So I put on a mauve-y kind of brownish nude lip just because I feel like that is just such a pretty color on pretty much anybody. So I put that lip on. She looks at herself in the mirror and goes, see, was it that hard? Tell her, nope, not at all. And so I ask her, is there anything that you would like me to change? Anything that you don't like that I could fix before I start with bubbles? And she tells me, why wouldn't I like any of it? Are you not confident in your work? I hate when people do like that because it's like they're questioning you and being just such a bitch. So I tell her, nope. And so I move a little bit more down because I wasn't expecting her to get out of the chair because she just seemed like that type where it's like, nope, it's my chair. She just seemed like that. So I moved down and I asked Bubbles like, okay, are you ready? I'm like, or did Buttercup want to go? She's like, no, I can go. As I'm going to work on her, P wants to say, you can just sit here. It'd be a lot easier. Like, I don't know why you didn't just ask me to move and why you're being extra. Bubbles even tells her like, oh, I didn't even think you'd want to move. Cool. And sits in her spot. So I'm like, great. I just move back where I was because I'm like, okay, awesome. So I'm working on Bubbles now and my full focus is just on her. Not going to even pay attention to P. She just radiates that I need attention, and even if it's not about me, pay attention to me. And I don't like girls like that. I don't like girls who need that constant attention like that because it's just not cool. Like, I already paid my attention to you and did your makeup. She said she liked it. Next. Because I feel like I already spent enough time on her and it was more than enough. It was more than enough. Or it was just like, okay, next. So I'm asking Bubbles, same questions. So what kind of a look did you want to do? And she tries to be funny. She's like, didn't Jessica already tell you? And so I laugh because I can. Because I can. So I laugh and I'm like, ha ha ha. And she laughs too. Ha 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 ha. And she looks right at her friend, P, and just kind of just gives her like a funny smirk. Nothing too serious where it's like, oh my God, you know, you're gonna go run home and cry. Like, nothing like that. It was just like a cute little smirk. Yeah. And so she tells me and stuff that she wants something really pretty, pink, bold, and she just wants to, you know, just like sparkle. This event that they were having wasn't something that it was like a wedding or anything like that. It was kind of more just like a girl thing, like a girl, like they're gonna do like a photo shoot, like all girlfriends. It wasn't really something that it was like, oh my God, like you can't do that, like, you know, like the bride said. It wasn't none of that. P wants to say, those are whore colors. And I look at her and I said, what? Because I was really taken back. Like, what? Like, what did you just say? What? So I am like, what? And she's like, yeah, those are whore colors. And she like, you know, tells Bubbles, this is why no one takes you serious. This is why. I kind of laugh and I'm like, okay, cool. So you want to do pink with some glitter? Cool. All right, so what's your skin like? And as I say that, I kind of just like touch her, like, you know, touch her skin just to kind of see, because it kind of looked like she already was wearing something, but I just wanted to touch. And she just seemed cool. You know, sometimes you just go off someone's vibe and she just seemed cool. So I touch her face because I'm like trying to see if she's wearing something because she just looks kind of glossy. As I'm touching her face, her friend P wants to say, why are you touching her face? You didn't touch my face. I don't even acknowledge her. I'm just like, like, I'm not gonna give you that time of day. And so she tells me that she is very normal to dry. And so I'm like, okay, are you wearing anything? It seems like you're wearing something. She's like, yeah, I just put on a big blob of sunscreen. And so I tell her, I'm like, okay, well, can you like go wash your face? I will make sure to add some sunscreen in here as well. Don't even worry about that, because it was like a lot. It was like if her face looked very, it was a lot, okay? So she's like, oh yeah, like no worries. And so as she got up to go do that, P is kind of talking to Buttercup and just, you know, kind of just telling her, oh my God, like people just think they're just, you know, they could just do whatever the hell they want. And, you know, she was a real makeup artist. She would advise her that that is not a good idea to wear pink. Like, who the f wears pink? Like, are you kidding me? Like, do you not know how old we are? Like, that was when you wanted to play with child's makeup. And so she's like talking loud, where I know she wanted to catch my attention, but I wasn't letting her have it, because why? Girls like that, they need that attention. They fiend for that attention. I am taking another drink of my Starbucks because Bubbles is not in my chair yet. She is still washing her face. So I take another drink. Cheers. P goes on to say, and then she just wants to be drinking her damn Starbucks. Like, that's what we're paying her for. They had snacks and drinks that the main person had brought. She had her sparkling water. She was just low-key salty that there was no coffee for them. This is the last time we're booking with people that you recommend. She was talking to Buttercup, because I guess Buttercup is the one to have recommended my friend. So she continues to go, and it's so hard for me just to not turn around and tell her just to shut the fuck up. So my friend comes around and she's checking on me, and she asks me how many girls have gotten done. I told her only one, and she tells me that if I finish before her, if I could help her with another girl. I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, we'll see. We'll play it by ear. And I'm like, why? What happened? And she's like, oh, it's just, yeah, it's fine. Like, she just looks at the girls because duh, they're all friends. You know, that they're just like, what you say? What you complaining about? She like looks over. She's like, oh, P, your makeup looks really pretty. Like, you look really good. Like, she was trying to say, your features are coming out. My girl made you look good. Like, that's what she was trying to do. She went like that. And she's like, oh, you look really, really good. And so she's asking me like, what foundation did I use on her? Oh my God, she looks really good. Like, you look really airbrush. She's like, I know. She did a really good job. I know. She did good. She did good. Like, she loved how she was complimenting her. And I'm just looking at her, smiling at her, because I'm like, even if you don't like me, I know that I did your face good. I know. And she wasn't an ugly girl. She was not an ugly girl. So it wasn't, if anything, I just enhanced more of her beauty, right? As we're talking, Bubbles comes and sits down, and she tells her, like, did you see her face? She's like, she looked good, huh? She's like, yes. So I'm feeling really like, really happy, right? So Bubbles sits down, and I start with her skin prep, and I'm going in with my hands, getting around, going with my brush, you know, I just going in all of it. It goes really smooth with her. Super easy to do. We did her pink look that she wanted to do. It looks super nice on her. That even P tells her, okay, I'll give it to you. It looks good. It looks good. Yeah, you're right. I think I was just thinking in my head, when I think of pink, yeah, you look good. You look good. So they're just laughing and taking selfies together. So I'm like, okay, cool. Buttercup comes up. I'm like, all right, same thing. What's your skin like? And she tells me that she has combination skin. I'm like, all right, great. I don't know why I say great. Even when Bubbles told me that she had normal to dry, I said, okay, great. I don't know why I do it. Maybe that's something I gotta fix. She looks at me, she smiles, and I kind of smile too. I'm like, oh, okay. We smile, and I just feel like the room got really quiet, and P is just looking at us. Now, I didn't know they had a little thing, okay? I did not know they had a little thing. Not my business, not my business. I'm married, I have 5 kids. So we notice that it gets quiet. We look over, I look at her, she looks at me, she's like, I read her face. I'm like, all right, okay, cool. I read the room real quick. I'm like, oh, okay. And I look back at Buttercup, and she kind of just like smiles, and she's like, you know, I'm like, okay. Anytime I'm doing makeup on clients, or anytime I am out, I am wearing my ring. So I kind of just like itch my face. I tend to do that a lot, especially like when I feel uncomfortable or if a guy's like asking me too many questions, I tend to like itch my face, and it kind of like lets them know like, oh, okay, she got a husband. It's just a quick, easy, like it doesn't, nothing needs to be said. The ring says it. Okay, I got my ring on right now, okay? It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't got my ring on right now. I'm doing her makeup and she is asking me pretty much like, what do you do for fun? When she says that, I automatically, because I've been in a really relationship, boom, I already know. Homegirl over there is gonna be like, why are you asking for it? Like clockwork, just like boom, right on it. She says, oh, why do you wanna know for? And she's like, I'm just making conversation. And I'm doing her eyes are closed because I'm doing her makeup. So she wanted a more of a natural look. So sorry, I didn't tell you guys that. She wanted a more natural look. So her eyes are closed and I don't even acknowledge P. I'm like, you know, I just stay home with my kids, just mostly. And so I'm letting her know, kids, I'm letting her know, 5 of them, I'm letting her know, busy, letting her know, you know, those kind of things, you know? And I'm like, what do you do for fun? She's like, no one really. And I laugh because I'm like, oh, that's funny. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. I like that kind of humor. I don't know. I just like that kind of humor. So it's just like, ha, 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 ha. And I see P kind of kick her feet. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's not funny. So we kind of just get quiet. I'm still doing her makeup. She's asking me like, how long have you been doing makeup for? Oh, for quite some time. She's like, oh, you did a really good job. I'm like, oh, thanks. Like, thank you. Again, I feel like sometimes, well, not again. If you guys watch my nanny series, I mentioned that I tend to say thank you. I can overkill thank you, where it can come across maybe like a little bit too much. And in this case, I guess it came across me being very flirtatious, because I was like, oh, thank you. I'm like, thank you. That really means a lot to me. Thank you. And P goes, how many times are you gonna say thank you? It's only needed once. And I kind of just laughed. Buttercup tells her, hey, yo, chill. Like, for real, chill. And I just stay quiet and I just continue to like, just, you know, do her face. And it's nothing. Like, it really is nothing. Like, I feel like it's not a big deal, whatever. And she's asking me like, hey, can I see the mirror real quick? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. So as she's asking me, can I see the mirror real quick? I hand it to her. I hand it to her like this. She could grab from here. She grabbed my hand, okay? As she grabbed my hand, I kind of just smiled and gave it to her because I'm like, okay, I know what she's doing. I know what she's doing. Like, obviously she's irking her girlfriend or, you know, friends with benefits, whatever. She's irking her on purpose because how she's acting. Okay, I'm picking up on it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you're doing. So I kind of just like smile at her and I'm like, anything you need me to fix? And she's like, mm-mm. And so I'm kind of just like laughing because it's just one of those things where like you feel uncomfortable, and she was making me a little flustered. I was like, oh my God, stop it right now. Stop it right now. So I'm finishing up and I finished her pretty quickly. Like, I feel like it was just like quick, where I feel like I was already like warming up. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I feel like where I already did 2 girls, I felt like I was already warming up. So by the time that I got to her, I was like, okay, cool. Like, easy. We know what to do. And she wanted very simple. So that too was very easy. So then I'm finishing her up, asking her if she wants a lip. And she's like, yeah, like, what do you recommend? So I'm like, oh, I think this color would look really nice on you. So like, I'm mixing colors together, showing her like, oh, this. She's asking me if I got social media. I'm like, oh yeah, I do. As I say, yeah, I do. P's like, well, why do you want her social media? And she's like, oh, just, you know, like, maybe I want to get my makeup done. You hardly even wear makeup. Why do you need? So that starts. So I'm like, okay. So again, I just ignore her because it just becomes too much and it can become a situation, and no one wants a situation. We just want to get in and out. Ain't nobody trying to steal no boyfriends. Ain't no one trying to steal no girlfriends. We are just trying to get in and out, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Well, I am, because I have had some friends where they're like, okay, bet, you know, and I am just trying to finish up. So I'm going to spray her face. I ask her, okay, can you take a look? So she looks again, And this time I put the mirror, I'm like, okay, so here, take a look. I put the mirror down because remember when I passed her the mirror the other time, she wanted to grab my hand and I didn't want any drama. So she looks at it and she is happy. She's like, oh, I look so good. And she's like telling me that she definitely wants me to do her makeup next time. And again, P wants to chime in and says, what do you mean next time? You don't even really wear makeup. We had to talk you into getting your makeup done. She tells her and tells her like, no, I like makeup now. Like if I can look like this, yeah, I like makeup now. I tell her, I'm like, thanks. I'm like, that makes me really happy that you really like it. P goes, oh, that makes you really happy? I'm like, yeah, that makes me really happy. It makes me feel like, okay, I did my job good. And as I look back, Buttercup has a smile on her face because I don't think no one really talks to P like that or something, because when I turn back around, she just like proud of me, it felt like, you know? I don't know. I wasn't trying to be mean or anything like that. It was just, I don't like being talked to like that. And I'm not gonna be in that little situation of you fighting with your friend, girlfriend. Don't put me in that. I'm just here to do a job and that's it. I'm just here to fill in for a friend and that is all. So I really not be the one to want to be in that drama. My friend comes over, oh my God, Lex, looks so nice. And I'm like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And they're all like hyping me up. Bubbles, P. So the Powerpuff Girls are like hyping me up. I'm like, oh, thank you, thank you. They asked my friend, so who do we pay? Do we pay you? Do we pay her? My friend's like, oh no, you guys already paid Jessica. We get it. I handle the situation. And they say like, we didn't pay Jessica. I'm so glad that they brought that up because deep in my gut, I was like, because I feel like if they would have paid Jessica, then Jessica would have told her like, I already got Lex's money if she's going to do their makeup. My friend thought the main girl box was paying for everyone, but that wasn't the case. Everyone was paying on their own. And I think my friend was just like really, where she wanted to make sure that like things went smooth. She probably didn't want to bring it up, or she was just probably like, oh, I'll figure it out, right? So they say they haven't even paid Jessica yet. And so I'm like, oh, okay, like we can, like, it's okay, like we can handle this. And they're like, yeah, like go. Like we got this handled, like go, yeah, go. Because she was only on her second girl. And so your girl felt proud because I was like, okay, done. So I started talking to the girls and I'm like, okay. And they're like, all right, like how much do you charge? So Bubbles asks me how much I charge. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is how much. And she's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's a little bit more than what Jessica was in charge, but that's fine. And I'm like, okay, because it wasn't even that much. And I don't even want to say because you guys are gonna be like, Jade. So y'all guess, and whoever gets it right in the comments, I will, okay? But yeah, so it wasn't even a lot. When I see how much people can get paid now, I'm like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're dog water, because it was stupid, okay? Like when I was in school for makeup as well, we would only charge $3. Even at the time of charging $3, I'd get so pissed. Now I get it, we weren't at our best, I understand that, but even $3 was nothing. Then I would even charge $15. That still was like, and I would drive to them. That was literally like, are you serious, Jade? Are you serious? So when they said it was a little bit more than what Jessica was charging, I already knew like, okay, no, like I know I'm not charging a lot, like, okay. So Bubbles paid and she was like, what? I'm not gonna leave a tip because like it's a little bit more. So Buttercup chimes in and she's like, girl, you're tripping. And she starts, you know, like giving me the money. It's not even a lot, I'm telling y'all. So she like starts giving money. She's like, and here's your tip, like, you know, and like, can I get your number so that when I went to my makeup, I was like, yeah, like no problem, because it's not a big deal, okay? It's not a big deal. So I'm giving her my number and I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know, like just let me know and I can do it anytime. And she's like, yeah, like I love your vibe, like you're cool as hell. I'm like, thank you, like really, like I really appreciate that. Again, over with the thank yous, right? And well, I didn't even say like thank you. It was just that, right? Now we go to P and I'm like, okay, like I'm just waiting and she's like, and I'm like, so wow. Gonna be, it was $30. I know that's not a lot. If you guessed it down below, let me know. But anyways, so I tell her and she's like, I'm not gonna pay. And I'm like, did you not like your makeup? She's like, I liked it. It was just, no. I'm like, what do you mean? no. I'm like, what do you mean no? I'm like, is there something that you want me to fix? I can fix it. Let me know. We can like, we could do that right now. Cause I was gonna say I got somewhere to be, but like I'm driving with my friend. So I'm like, okay. She's like, no. It was like that meme, like immediately no. Immediately no. So I'm like, okay, well, can you sit back down? And she's like, for what? I'm like, so I can remove the makeup. Like if you are not satisfied with it, that's fine, but I have to remove it. She's like, you're not gonna remove shit. So Buttercup and Bubbles are like, if you don't have the money, just let us know so we can just pay her or let her fix whatever needs to be fixed. And she's like, no. She's like, Jessica was the one who was supposed to do our makeup. So first, that was an inconvenience because we didn't even know if her work was good. So no. And they're like, okay, but you liked it. I'm like, yeah, like you liked the makeup. Like you told me you're taking your selfies. So if there's something that you need me to fix, I can fix it. If there's nothing that you need me to fix and you just simply don't want to pay, that's fine. You can sit back down and I can remove the makeup. She's like, no, no. And so the girls are kind of doing the talking for me because they're like, you're literally being petty. Pay her the money. Like you're being petty. You're being petty. Like stop. So I think what irked her is that I gave Buttercup my phone number. Not my problem. So everyone's going back and forth. I'm like, pay me or I'm wiping your face off, because I'm already getting mad because now she's referring to me as that bitch. She's like, I'm not gonna pay that bitch. And I'm like, that bitch, like I got a name. So I'm starting to get like upset. You could hear it in my tone. Now my friend comes around, she's like, what's the problem? I'm like, she doesn't want to pay me. She's like, why don't you want to pay her? Is there something wrong? Is there something that needs to be fixed? Like Alexis is really good at that. Like if you need it to be fixed. She's like, it's just the inconvenience. My friend's like, the inconvenience of what? And she's like, that Jessica didn't do my makeup. She's like, okay, but Alexis stepped in and your makeup was done and she already finished all three of you before I finished with the other three. So what type of inconvenience because she finished way before the time? She goes, you guys wouldn't understand. It's the inconvenience. It's inconvenience for me. And I'm just like, oh, well, help me understand because I need to get paid. Like, I have a family to feed. That's not my problem. I'm like, okay, it's not your problem. But I do have a family to feed. And I didn't just come out here just to do makeup for free. So you need to pay me or I can wipe it off your face. And my friend's like, Alexis, I'm like, no, like I will wipe it off her face. And so as she's saying that, I'm like, no, I will wipe it off your face. And I'm already like starting to like pull the wipey out. And P is just looking at me like this. And I'm like, I don't know what upset her. And so now I'm talking to my friend. I was like, I don't know if it's because I gave Buttercup my phone number so I could do her makeup at a later date. She's like, why would she be upset? She has a boyfriend. And I'm like, I don't know. That's just the vibe I got. I don't know. That's just the vibe I got. And then P's like, I didn't get anywhere. And then Buttercup was like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Like, you got some way. And so she's even calling her out. So I'm like, okay, these are the kind of friends that like everyone needs where it's like, they're not just gonna like hype you up on your bull. Like, So we're going back and forth. My friend is like, okay, if you don't want to pay, you're not gonna allow her to take the makeup off, we'll have to call the cops. Because the contract that you signed, and she pulls up her phone and she has a contract, and I guess they signed it for Jessica. So P's like, I signed that for Jessica, I didn't sign it for Alexis. And then she's like, okay, but we can explain the situation and all of that. And so she's like, so let me know what I gotta do. Like, let me know what call I gotta make. And so my friend walks away and P's just sitting there and she's like, well, I don't want to have to pay the $30. And I'm like, okay, so how much did Jessica charge you? She's like, 25. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, that's her rate, my rate. And I'm like, and for the inconvenience that you're causing me, it's 35. And so we're just like still, and she's just looking at me and she's like, I just think that I want you to wipe the makeup off. I'm like, okay, great. She sits down in the chair and I'm like, okay, cool. And so I'm about to like get her lashes. I'm about to pull the lash titties, okay? And then one of the girls that I think was like the main one who put it all together, she tells me, she's like, please don't, please don't. She tells me, and I'm like, looking at her because I'm already irritated because I'm like, this better not be another P that's gonna tell me something. And so I'm like, excuse me. And so as I tell her, excuse me, she's like, I'll pay. And I'm like, okay, great. And so I let go of the lashes and so I go buy my stuff and she hands me, she's like, how much is it? And I tell her, I'm like, 35. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she looks at her, she's like, really, P? And P's like, I was gonna pay it. She's like, I don't know why you guys had to come over here and chime in. She wasn't gonna pay it. She was gonna let me take the lash titties off, okay? And lashes are expensive too, so that was like really inexpensive what I was charging her, okay? So anyways, I got paid. Even putting my stuff away, P was just like staring at me the whole time. It was super duper weird. Buttercup kept trying to talk to me, and it just like made me feel weird because I'm like, I don't know what y'all got going on. Like, it's a weird like combination. Me and Bubbles were cool though. We were like sitting there chopping it up, talking. Like, it was, I feel like like the name suited her too. Like, anytime you guys hear me call anyone Bubbles in a story time, just know they're good people. So I just sat there, let her do her thing. And this is what I'm saying. I should have brought my car because I was there for like ever, because they didn't just book her just like for like the simple makeup. They're like, oh, you think you can stay after just like for some touch-ups and stuff like that. And I ended up having to sit there. And that's another thing too, where it's like, when you do favors like this, you gotta make sure as well, like, okay, like your time is still precious. So I ended up staying there like all day. I got home super late. The babe was like, how much did you make? And it wasn't even enough for like a full day. So I was like, oh, this. And even though I got to help my friend, I was telling her, I was like, dude, like, because it wasn't the first time, wasn't the second time, wasn't the third time of like it being like an all day thing. I'm cool with it being an all day thing. Just pay me.
And I said, just pay me. It wasn't towards my friend. It was for the people who wanted us to stay behind for touch-ups, but only wanted to pay one of us.
Because like, you know, time is money. But yeah, so that is my story time with the makeup girl that did not want to pay me. She was a pain in my ass. Pain in my ass. I did book Buttercup again and Bubbles, and P tried to squeeze her weight in a few times, and I was like, no. So if you guys want that story time, I'll give you guys that story time as well, because that was really awkward, really awkward. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the story time. Let me know if you are a makeup artist or if you've been in a situation like this, whether it be anything small business, and someone has told you like, no, immediately no. Because I have read so many stories and I'm like, oh my God, especially small businesses where like they'll do like cakes and stuff and people don't want to pay. What makes people so comfortable where they can take advantage of a small business like that? Like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And it really irks me because people really be feeling entitled. Like, where does that come from? Where do you get that gene? Because I don't understand. And P was, she gave me that same, like, that feeling. And I'm like I just don't understand it. Like, I really don't know where it comes from. But here is my puta look. Let me know if you guys like it. I like this color on me. I really do. I feel like I go to this color a lot too because it just looks really pretty, especially I feel like with brown eyes. I feel like it's so pretty. I really, really like it a lot. It's really pretty. I like it. I feel like it makes me feel like chingona as fuck. I like it. It's really pretty. It reminds me of like bitty bitty bum bum. But anyway guys, I love you guys so freaking much. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and doing a story time with me. I love you guys so much. Te quiero mucho, you guys. And I will have a story time for the 90s series very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching and all you guys' love and support. It seriously means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Besos a todos, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.